now. And Cora, I'd like to hand things over to you, ma'am.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me see if I can share my PowerPoint. Can everybody see it? Okay. So, yeah, I'm Cora McNabb, and I'm the I have the privilege, I always tell people I have the privilege of being the executive director for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. So we're just going to go through a quick overview, try to give you a picture of what it is we do day to day, month to month, and year to year. But the program, the Vocational Rehabilitation Program, is the public VR program, and it helps people with disabilities prepare for, engage in, or advance in competitive employment. And by competitive employment, we mean employment that is the same for them that it is for everybody else. They have the same opportunities for career advancement. They have the same opportunities for benefits and the same opportunities to work in an environment where they also work with individuals that do not have disabilities. So our program also helps businesses and employers with recruitment and retention, and also with accommodations for employees with disabilities. Our customers are adults with disabilities, youth, students with disabilities, as well as businesses and employers. And of course, it's no surprise then that our mission statement states just that. That we want to empower Kentuckians with disabilities to maximize independence and economic security through competitive integrated employment. You know, in other words, we want to give them the same opportunities as anybody else to live life, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and contribute to the economy the same way that all of us here today do. Just going to give you a few statistics here about why vocational rehabilitation is around in Kentucky and in all of the states. In Kentucky, about 17.4% of the population are people who are identified with having a disability. The employment rate for people with disabilities in Kentucky is 32.3%, and the rate for individuals without disabilities is 76.5%. So you can see there's a huge discrepancy there. I'll talk a little bit about money. And when I talk about the vocational rehabilitation funding, we have also have other funding sources. Our main funding is our basic support grant. And for it, every 22 cents funded by the Commonwealth is 78 cents in federal funds. So we have a match. So in order to draw down the full amount of our award, we have to have a match of non-federal funds. So for in 2023, our award was $63,261,278. And so we had to have over 17 million in general funds to be able to pull that award down. If we don't have the match, then we have to return that money to the federal government. So some of the other funding sources that we have, the state, we have also a small amount that we get for state-supported employment services. We get one grant in $150,000 that is for youth, and it has a match to it. And then we get another $150,000 that we don't have to match. And so that's around 300,000 for state supported employment. And of course, supported employment is just what it says it is, that we provide additional supports to individuals. And we spend more of that in that area. But what happens is we run out of that 300,000 very quickly. And so we spend the other part of our award. We also have a grant award through the Health and Human Services for the CATS network that doesn't have a match, and that is the Kentucky Assistive Technology Network. And that program, we fund 5 technical assistance centers across the state. They serve all ages. They loan equipment, and they also demonstrate equipment. They're a resource for individuals that are needing certain types of assistive technology. And then a lot of you are probably familiar with the Retain grant. We're actually in the last year of the Retain grant, but we plan to sustain that program. Once the grant ends, it will continue. We will be having a name change because that is a Department of Labor name, and we'll have to go through some processes, but that grant was a grant over 5 years, and it totaled about 21.6 million. So we'll miss that the grant money when it's gone, but we have plans to sustain the project moving forward. We also have a program called the Kentucky Assistive Technology Loan Corporation, and we partner with the Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation, and we do no interest small loans for individuals. We do a lot of hearing aids in that program. And so we get a small amount of funding from CHFS to help with that program. And then we have the Independent Living Older Blind Services, which is about, again, is another close to another $500,000, and it has a match. And then something that we don't talk about a lot that we receive is program income from Social Security. And so when we put someone to work who is receiving benefits and they are successful, and there are lots of hoops that we have to go through to get to the end result, Social Security will reimburse us for the cost of what we paid for in that case. And then we can use that program income like it is for services, that money that we receive back. So the 2023 calendar year program metrics that we just finished, we served around 45,277 individuals. Of those, 4,626 exited successful, earning an average wage of around $23.14. I put the map up here so you could see we're across the state where we're at, the different regions and offices, the managers, and up at the top you'll see our 5 regional managers. Jason Cole in the Green River area, Jenny Lampton in Kentucky Works, and Lincoln Trail. Jason also covers West Kentucky and the East region, Ryan Henson, the Northern Kentucky Bluegrass area, Roxana Robson in the South Central Cumberlands, and then Brent Sturgill in Tenco and EKSEP. So those are the regional managers that are our liaisons in the workforce areas, and hopefully you all know who those are if they are located in your area. So I'm going to turn it over to Susie to now at this time to go ahead and talk about some of the other things that we wanted to share with you today. Susie, you can go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon. I'm glad to be with you all. just wanted to start off on my section by sharing a few things that might be of interest as far as the top 10 placement areas that we have in the jobs. And as you can see, I won't go through all of them, but on the slide that we've provided, it provides the number of participants in each of the top 10, as well as the median hourly earnings and the median hours worked. I think oftentimes people are surprised to see some of the median earnings, especially that if you look at number 2 with registered nurses, in that we had 38 individuals placed in that field, and the average median hourly earning for that was $32.75 an hour, and with 40 hours worked. So that's always one that people kind of take an interest in, that we have that many individuals being placed in that field. Next slide. For disability types, sensory 33.3%, physical 14.2%, cognitive 21.2%, and psychological mental health is 30.9%. So as you can see, we cover all of the disabilities within those areas. And
I was going to say quickly here, Susie, the sensory includes both deaf, hard of hearing, and visual impairments.
Right. Okay. And then consumer geographical demographics, 54.4% from the state's metropolitan areas, 45.5% from rural counties, and just 1/3 or 34% were from the state's Appalachian region. Consumer genders, 54.1% identified as male, 45.9% is identified as females. And then the ages range from 15 to 97. Transition age youth, which we are required to spend 15% of our funding on, were 1/3 or 34% of the OVR consumers. Mid-career consumers, 40 to 59, were 27.1%. Early career, 26 to 39, were 23% of the consumers. And then late career consumers, 60 to 70, were 11.4%. With over 70, there were 4.5% of OVR consumers. So that's pretty astounding. The workforce continues. And then race, 79.9% white, 10% Black or African American, 8.8% Hispanic Latino, 0.3% Asian, 0.2% Native American or Alaskan Native, 0.1% Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, and 0.6% were other races. And our agency structure, there are 2 councils that we have in our agency: the Statewide Council for Vocational Rehabilitation, which is our is federally mandated. They work with us, they provide guidance, they provide feedback on the decisions that we're making. We have quarterly meetings with them. There is a time for public comment during that. There are report outs. That information is shared through social media as well as other avenues, so that anyone can participate. We invite you to do that if you'd like to learn more about us and what goes on in the council. We have an individual here in our office, Lametta Isaacs, who oversees that as far as the staffing is concerned. And it's a great time to learn what our agency is doing and what we're involved with. We also have the Employment First Council, which Cora helped me. It came into being through the executive
order.
Yeah, through executive order. What year? Was it 2 years ago now? Time gets away from me. So we have our Employment First Council that we oversee. That is mandate executive order that we are to look at employment for individuals with disability. They are to be considered. And Cora talked earlier about competitive integrated employment, and we want to make sure that individuals with disabilities are considered in that employment population, and that we are a go-to for seeking employees for agencies. And
I was gonna say it's not a council, but we do have a blind vendor advisory council, and then we actually have 2 other councils that we don't have listed here today. The CATS network that I spoke about, the Kentucky Assistive Technology Network, has a council, and so does the Kentucky Assistive Technology Loan Corporation.
Yeah, we need to add that to the slide.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so there are 4 divisions in our agency. We have the Division of Field Services, the Division of Carl D. Perkins Vocational Training Center, Division of Blind Services, McDowell Center, and Division of Business Enterprises. And we'll talk a little bit about each one. Carl D. Perkins, it operates several services that enable consumers to achieve their vocational goals. It is a residential facility. We've provided the link to their brochure that gives an overview of the center itself, as well as the program and services that they offer. Several of the programs include things like groundskeeping. There is a resource management program. There's an office tech program. There's a cosmetology program.
Vocational
Their most
training.
recent program that they added to their food services group is a barista program. And so they have Carl's Cup now located within the facility, where staff as well as the students can go and get coffee. And it's a learning mechanism for those individuals that are participating in the program, and also a great experience for those individuals that are on site there at the facility. We partner with CVS as well. We have a CVS mock store set up in the facility that allows participants to train within a store-like setting before going out and training on site at the CVS stores. So if you haven't checked it out, that's a great place to look and get resources and to find out more information about what the center does and what they have to offer. They are located in Thelma, Kentucky. Next slide. Division of Blind Services, McDowell Center, where a lot of the staff are located, is located in Louisville, and they do training in low vision and blindness skills at the center. They don't have the Carl D. Perkins Center has about 130 students, so it's a larger facility. McDowell usually has about, I think core maximum is probably 15 at that site. And
Yes.
so they do have dorm space there too, but it is more limited than what we have at Perkins. But in addition to the services that they offer there at the center and training for low vision and blindness skills, they have offer orientation mobility services, as well as the deaf-blind program, bioptic driving, independent living, and older blind program. And one of the things that I would like to say about their section of the website, which we've also provided the link for, they have some great videos that have been created that talk about McDowell Center and the different services that are offered that will give you a wonderful overview. They've done a great job with those. They have consumers talking about their successes and the achievements that they've made by utilizing the services through the programs offered through the Division of Blind Services. And I would encourage you to visit that link and view those videos. It's great to hear it from the consumer perspective. We can talk about it, but they experienced it. So we just encourage you each to go in and take a look at that. Next slide. Division of Kentucky Business Enterprises is the leading vending and food service program operated by people who are visually impaired or blind. It does train these individuals and places them in self-employed operators for snack bars and dining facilities and automated vending facilities in public and private buildings across the state. And this is part of the Randolph-Shepard Act, and it is headed by Corey Markham. And Corey, as Cora mentioned earlier, they have a blind vendor committee that works and that provides oversight and guidance within this program. They provide services at 2 military facilities currently, Fort Knox as well as Fort Campbell. And so they are very diverse in the services that they offer as far as their vending is concerned. And hopefully you've all had the chance to experience some of the dining facilities at the different, we have one at the transportation facility here in Frankfort. I believe they're also located at CHFS, although I've not been over there in a while at the CHR building. And they're offered at multiple places throughout the state. And they do some of the vending on the interstates as well. So if you have gotten anything from some of the interstate facilities that are around, that would be this group that is facilitating the work that goes on there. Cora, I don't know if you have anything to add to that one or not.
I was gonna say, in addition to Fort Knox and Fort Campbell, we forget that we do also operate the dining facility at the Wendell Ford National Guard Center. It's not as noisy as Fort Knox and Fort Campbell, so sometimes we tend to overlook it.
Right. Next slide. And now we come to the Division of Field Services, and I'm going to turn this over to Holly Hendricks. Holly is the Division of Field Services Director, and she'll be able to provide you the updates from this area. Holly?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you all so much for having us. I always love talking about Voc Rehab, so this is a treat for me. VR is an eligibility program. We are not an entitlement program. That is a misconception that a lot of folks have, and we'll talk about the eligibility criteria here in just a minute. Income is not a factor in eligibility, but it can be considered as part of the cost of certain services. So it doesn't matter. If individuals qualify, they qualify. It doesn't matter if they make $80 million or $0. It has no impact on their eligibility. Once a person has completed the application for VR, we have 60 days to determine eligibility by law. However, we try not to take that long. We try to get applications taken and eligibilities processed as quickly as possible. Our state average is around, I think, 26 days right now to get that done, but we can take longer for individuals who need more assessment time. They just have to agree to that extension of time. We are not an emergency services provider. So VR has a very wide array of services that we can provide to individuals, but that's not on an emergency basis. And we do have certain procedures that we follow in order to provide services. Our services are not intended to be long-term, but if supports are needed on a long-term basis, the agency will work to identify alternatives and provide referrals for other potential resources that the individuals might need in order to support them as they work. Next slide. So this is our process at a glance. This is what an applicant will experience when they go through the VR process. We start with a referral or initial contact. There's no requirements on that. An individual can refer themselves. Anybody can refer anybody else. After referral, we schedule an application. We have counselors that serve all of the counties across the state, and those counselors can go to each county to meet people there. Once an application is taken, we determine eligibility, and the individual is informed whether or not they meet eligibility criteria. And if they do, then the next part of the process is to develop a plan for employment. So in Voc Rehab, we can provide assessment services without a plan, but we can't provide anything beyond that until the individual and the counselor discuss the vocational goal and the services that the person needs in order to achieve that goal. Once that's agreed on, then we can continue with service delivery. Of course, the goal is employment. So we provide the supports that individuals need in order to maintain or obtain employment. And then the goal is successful closure, which does not happen until several criteria are met. The individual has to agree that they're ready for their case to be closed. They need to be in competitive integrated employment for a minimum of 90 days. And they should have received all of the services that were agreed to on their individualized plan for employment. And I meant to say, we love questions. So if you're thinking of questions as we go, feel free to jot those down. We're a fairly complicated program, so we want to answer any questions that you guys have. The eligibility criteria for VR services includes that the individual must have a disability. That can be physical, mental, sensory. Primarily, what we're looking for is how it impacts that individual's ability to obtain or maintain employment. So that disability has to result in a significant barrier to employment. So you could have individuals with significant disabilities, but if they're successfully employed and they're facing no barriers to their job, then they would not meet eligibility criteria. they also have to require VR services in order to prepare for, enter, engage in, or even advance in competitive employment. So individuals who have disabilities that are working can absolutely be eligible for our services. They just have to meet this criteria. And oftentimes, if individuals feel like they cannot advance in employment because of disability, then we can assist with that and help them obtain additional credentials or skills in order to move further in their career. Next slide. So along with disabilities, our counselors look at functional limitations. So when I said how the disability impacts the person's ability to work, these are the things that we look for. And I'm not going to read the full descriptions on these. I think you all will have the PowerPoint slides that can review that. They're fairly self-explanatory, but we look at the individual's ability to care for themselves, their work skills, their ability to learn and perform tasks, interpersonal skills, which we all know are just critical if you're working with people. How do they interact with others? How do they interact with their supervisors? Things like that. Next slide. We also look at communication, not just in, talking every day, but in writing and in understanding information and experiencing information through a sensory method, cognitive method, whatever that may be for them. Of course, mobility. We also look at self-direction, the individual's ability to organize their day, to plan activities and carry out work tasks. And then work tolerance, the physical and cognitive ability to sustain a work day or a work schedule that's appropriate for that person. So while we do not look at attendant factors in terms of determining eligibility, our counselors do pay a lot of attention to what we call attendant factors. So these are things that I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with. These are things that impact a person's ability to work, but they're not necessarily a disability. So that can include low education levels, maybe long-term unemployment or sporadic work history, individuals with criminal records, lack of childcare and transportation. Those are things people have to have a lot of times in order to work. So VR tries to address those as part of our service delivery process. A lengthy history of dependence on others, and that can include dependence on public benefits as well. Residents in areas of poverty or limited employment opportunity, which we do have some of those areas in Kentucky. And of course, there's disincentives, right? Individuals who are reliant on financial or medical benefits like Social Security. A lot of individuals that we serve have unstable or inadequate living arrangements, poor personal or social adjustment, even appearance, grooming and hygiene. All of these things affect an individual's ability to work. So while they're not related to eligibility criteria, they are things that our counselors work to address with individuals who have these attendant factors. Our individualized plan for employment is basically a contract that our counselors sign with the individual who is eligible for our services. It includes a specific vocational goal, the services required to achieve that goal, and we always make sure that individuals have informed choice. We have a lot of vendors available to our consumers, and they have the opportunity to choose the vendors that are out there and available to provide services to them. And they have to agree on a vocational goal. A counselor is not going to say, well, I want you to be whatever. They're going to say, this is what I think would be appropriate for you. What do you think? What is available in your home area? What type of income are you looking for? Do you have transportation for that kind of job? They ask all of those really detailed questions to make sure that we're taking a comprehensive look at everything that individual needs in order to be successfully employed. So this is what a lot of people really want to hear. What can Voc Rehab do? What can we pay for? The foundation of what we do is vocational guidance and counseling. The skills of our counselors are our foundation, and they make sure that we are addressing functional limitations like we discussed. We're addressing any limitations that the person experiences due to their disability. And we're making sure that the individual understands employment. They understand the impact of employment on benefits if they're receiving them. And we talk a lot about the career pathway. And, you know, you don't just have to stop at an entry-level job. Are you thinking about a long-term career and how you can advance as we discuss your vocational goal? So that is the foundation of what we do. We provide job placement assistance, job readiness training. We can assist with college or vocational training. We also provide supported employment services, which can include a variety of different options for individuals that need more intensive or long-term support. Benefits counseling is a tremendous service that we coordinate with other entities, and we can also pay for or provide internally so that individuals understand the potential impact that employment is going to have on their benefits. A lot of people don't apply because they assume their benefits are going to be drastically impacted by employment. So it's very important that they understand, yes, you can maintain your benefits and your insurance for a while, maybe indefinitely, and work at the same time. So we really try to make sure folks understand their specific scenario with benefits. We provide transition services like Cora mentioned earlier. We start with individuals as early as the age of 14 in high school, and we work to either help them transition into college or employment. We can provide on-the-job training, job coaching, tutoring, transportation assistance, interpreters. Assistive technology is a fantastic resource that we have. It's very unique to vocational rehabilitation, and it can make such a tremendous difference. This can include vehicle modifications, home modifications, technology to assist students who might have learning disabilities, a wide range of services. And then we can't do it all. We're not the professionals in every entity. So of course, we make sure that we know of other community services out there, and we refer our consumers to those entities as appropriate. Supported employment, just to give you more information about that, is here to assist people with the most significant disabilities to become competitively employed in an integrated setting. So within that context, we value that integrated or inclusive environment, the consumer's choice and involvement in terms of the services they receive, the supports that they need, then their interests and abilities. Then also a career path through ongoing support and extended follow-up services, and parity in wages and other employment benefits as with individuals who don't have disabilities. There is no cost to apply for VR services or to find out if an individual is eligible for the program. But depending on financial resources, the individual may be asked to help contribute to the cost of certain services. Right now, OVR has suspended what we call our cost sharing policy. We have lots of funds available to serve the consumers that we have right now. So we're not applying any financial needs to our services, but in the event that OVR funding changes or our staffing levels are too low and we're not able to provide services to everyone, we prioritize services to the individuals who have the most significant disabilities, and we can also implement our cost sharing process. So that does fluctuate depending on our situation. Just to give you a very concise summary of how the agency is set up, this is our organizational chart. And Susie has already talked about the divisions. We didn't talk about the program policy and support branch, which they provide fiscal and programmatic support to all of our staff. And then you can see within the Division of Field Services, which is my area of expertise, or my responsibility, I guess I should say, our 5 regions that we looked at on the map earlier. But we also have branches that are specific to our different programs that fall under my assistant directors. So we have transition, assistive technology, community rehabilitation program, deaf and hard of hearing services, employer services, and then a Social Security Administration. So even within field services, in addition to direct service staff, we have other administrative staff who are coordinating the provision of additional specialized services to our consumers. In terms of personnel stats, at the end of March, we had 439 employees, to give you an idea of how big our agency is, 134 counselors, and 50 vacancies in the process of being filled. We do have a significant number of temporary service employees who fill in for clerical positions, food service staff, security, and then we also have contracted services due to non-competitive salaries for the professional services, including American Sign Language interpreters, our rehabilitation technologists, and then medical services that primarily include psychologists and psychiatrists.
In progress.
We do have 40 physical locations across the state, so we're very accessible to the majority of the population. And like I said, we can bring services to an individual. And that includes our 2 centers that Susie discussed earlier, the Carl Perkins Vocational Training Center in Thelma and the Charles McDowell Center in Louisville. So something very significant that's happened with Kentucky OVR in the last actually year is a significant increase in referrals. And we're struggling in certain areas to meet the demand with the level of staffing that we have. So we've been adding quite a few staff over the last few months, trying to make sure that we have the capacity to serve everyone who's eligible for our services. But we've seen an almost 11% increase in referrals this year as compared to the same time last year. It's almost 1,000 new referrals in this quarter compared to the quarter before. I'm sorry, the first quarter of January through March of 2024 compared to January through March of 2023. But we've also had 28% more competitive integrated employment outcomes, which is fantastic. Cora, do you want me to go through more of those smaller statistics, the percentage and changes and things like that, or should we just move on to questions?
I think we're good.
Okay. I know I hurried through that, but I also wanted to make sure that folks have plenty of time to ask any questions or make any comments that you have. You see there our central office address and our website. We've got Cora's email there, and anybody who has specific field services questions is also more than welcome to contact me. I'll turn it back over to you, Cora.
So, Debbie, that completes our presentation. So we're glad to take any questions if anyone has any.
And that's wonderful. If anybody just wants to jump in, oh, our chair of the KWIB is on, Kim Minke. Please go ahead, Kim.
Oh, thanks, Debbie. Cora, thank you so much for the presentation and for you and your staff. It's great to hear all the things that you're doing for the folks needing the services themselves, the individuals. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the outreach that OVR has to the employers that would be potentially hiring these folks and utilizing them as part of workforce within the activities. What type of outreach programs or information that can be shared with businesses that could help make that match?
So Holly, do you want to talk about the employer services branch and the career fairs and different areas? I'll let Holly address that.
Sure.
All right, thank you.
Yes, it's a great question, and we have a branch dedicated to employer services, and we have what we call job placement specialists or employment specialists located across the state. And they are there to provide not just one-on-one job placement assistance for our consumers, so they work with our counselors directly, but they also are charged with developing and maintaining relationships with employers on a smaller local level. And so they're constantly, identifying employers, working on potential work experience sites. We have what we call the PACE program, where if employers agree, the individual can participate in about 60 hours of on-the-job experience, and OVR pays a training wage for that time. So that's a great opportunity for employers to be able to allow one of our consumers to experience work, but they're not really out any money. VR is paying for that, and it's short term. We can also, we go to a lot of job fairs, like Cora said, and we can provide a lot of just guidance and technical assistance, answer questions that employers might have in terms of working with individuals with disabilities or credentials and training that they might need. And we can move that information into the ears of our consumers and our counselors so that we're aware of very current job openings, the needs of employers, the credentials that are required for those jobs. We try to put all those pieces together, but that particular branch does focus on smaller local employers based on their area that they work in. But we also have partnerships with larger employers that have unique programs across the state. So we try to do both.
I was
Great.
gonna say, also, Kim, that through the retain grant, we've done a lot of partnering with the chamber. We also, held the Inclusive Workforce Summit, and then we're excited we'll be, we're also working on some other projects with the chamber in the upcoming year. And then in the local areas, the regional managers that I mentioned are the local workforce region contacts, and they serve on all the local boards as well. Those staff that Holly was talking about do work with the teams as well. So I can't think of anything else. I think that about covers most of what we would need to share about employer outreach.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. One suggestion or just something to think about is, I think the outreach that you talked about is great. I'm wondering, to kind of broaden that net of potential employers, if there was some type of small toolkit kind of explanation that could be shopped with various employers. A lot of times we talk amongst ourselves, obviously, of how we're dealing with various workforce needs and those kinds of things, and being able to highlight our programs that maybe we're utilizing is one way. But when we don't have those maybe up and running, but can share, these are the kind of considerations that you can expect to be able to help facilitate this kind of partnership. That could be very helpful in, recruiting additional businesses to the table and getting them on board to truly see all the potential opportunities for workforce that are out there. And certainly OVR is one of those that is not tapped enough, in my opinion. So just something
Yeah, that's a really good idea. We actually work collaboratively with the Commission on Deaf and Hard of Hearing, and it developed kind of a guide for employers for the deaf and hard of hearing, but I don't think we have any materials that we like a toolkit. So that's a great idea, Holly. We'll have to put that on our list.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And it looks like Beverly Ford has a question.
So I'm Beverly Ford with the Great Onyx Job Corps, the USDA Forest Service Great Onyx Job Corps. And our barrier is that we can't reach anybody. We've been trying to contact Voc Rehab since November of 2023. And my task today from my boss was to find out how we can get in touch with someone in our region for Voc Rehab, because we can't get phone calls returned.
So
can you tell
And
me
we service youth 16 to 25 years of age, and a lot of them have some disability challenges.
So
What was your question? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask, which area are you contacting? Which office?
Bowling Green and Leslie Hudson, I think. And the
Okay.
regional person, I just sent her a message, Roxana.
Roxanna Robinson.
Yeah, my boss has been calling that number since November of 2023, she said.
Okay. Beverly, if if I can get your contact information, I'll make sure that staff reach out to you. Would you like my email address? Would that work best?
That would be great. I'll take
All right.
whatever I can get.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. It's Holly, Holly,
Okay,
B as in boy, dot Hendricks, HENDRICKS at
Okay.
ky.gov.
okay,
Yeah, we'll make
Will
sure
do.
somebody reaches out to you.
okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we all can agree, we all learned something new on these calls, and certainly in collaboration and partnership. I mean, I see several different partners on today, so thank you for your time. You know, as we all are lifting up our parts of this ecosystem, let's stay connected. If you have questions, and Beverly, I can send you Holly's information as well. If you have questions, reach out to those that you know, and I bet we can plug you in as needed along the way. So any final questions for the group at Office of Vocational Rehabilitation? I just want to thank you all so much for what you all do. And Holly, you walked through the attendant factors, and Cora had mentioned dollars that go to supports for those factors. Are there a top three that kind of rise up? I mean, you mentioned transportation and childcare, and it's kind of interesting because when we did our listening tours around the state plan, those were definitely two of the top three that we heard. Wondered what those might be.
Well, transportation definitely has been consistently at the top of the list for quite a while. I don't know, Cora, what do you think about that? I mean, in terms of those unmet needs that consumers have identified?
I would definitely say transportation is at the top of the list. Yes. We hear that everywhere, year after year after year.
It's also a discussion being had at the federal level, so I don't think we're unique in that regard as Kentucky, but that conversation to continue as well. If you all would like to ever lift up a topic of discussion for this hour monthly, do reach out to me, and I can put my contact information in the chat. Otherwise, if you have specific like one-on-one request of this team, you can reach out to me as well, and I can provide their contact information post meeting. We do have these recordings available on the kwib.ky.gov site. So if you'd like to share with others that you know as well, we recommend you do that as well. But thank you all for joining today. And if there's nothing else, we'll wrap this session and give you 10 minutes back.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.